decided to film a video today. I am so hungover. It's not even funny. I want my coffee. We'll get through this. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sakshi, and here on my channel I make videos related to beauty, travel, wellness, and even cooking. So if you like my content, please consider subscribing and hitting that like button. I think it's fair to say that 2020 was the most challenging year for most of us. It has affected everyone to some extent, be it the rich, the poor, or people like us who are in between. Now, before jumping into the things that 2020 has taught me, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a background to why I decided to make this video. Now, whenever a new year starts, I try to set some goals for myself. Now, I don't call them resolutions because I feel like resolutions are meant to be broken, but I set some goals for myself. And towards the end of that year, I revisit my goals and see how much I was able to achieve and what were the goals that I lacked. So I can work on those in the next year. And that's what I was doing in the last week of December. I was just revisiting and seeing what things I did, what things I didn't do. And to my surprise, I actually did quite well. I was under the impression that my year was really bad and I couldn't wait to get this year over, but in reality, that wasn't the case. And that prompted me to make this video. I feel like there might be few of you guys who may think that they haven't achieved anything. 2020 was the worst year and it was just a pickle and you couldn't wait to get rid of it. Don't get me wrong, like I'm glad that 2020 is over. This year we are more optimistic about getting a vaccine and the borders reopening and getting our economy back. So there are so many good things to look for this year, but when reflecting on my 2020, there were few things that I've realized that has taught me life lessons. It's no doubt that 2020 was the most difficult year for most of us. It was difficult for me as well, don't get me wrong. I was in lockdown. My health, my weight, I was the heaviest that I have ever been in 2020. My weight just skyrocketed in 2020. I was the heaviest that I've ever been. So physically, I was not at my best. 2020 taught me 3 very important life lessons that I am obviously going to carry with myself in the future. And I wanted to share those 3 things that I have learned from 2020 with you guys. The first thing that I feel like 2020 has taught me is to be grateful for the loved ones that I have in my life. Now, since the last few years, I have been very cautious of the things that I have in my life and to be grateful for the things that I have in my life. But obviously, being a human being, I tend to slip sometimes and start whinging and complaining and taking things for granted. But 2020 has taught me that the people, the loved one that you have in your life are so important. When something like this happens, I feel like even though I loved my friends and I respected them and obviously they were important to me, sometimes knowingly, unknowingly, I took them for granted. I know this for sure for my family because I always used to think, oh, they are my family, they love me no matter what. I can go and visit them anytime I want, but that wasn't the case. I feel like I was mentally stable during the lockdown because of my friends, my partner, my family, because they were such a strong support for me. Without them, I honestly don't know how my lockdown would have gone, whether I'll be still in Sydney or would I have gone back home, because Lockdown was a very, very tough time for most of us. It was a tough time for me as well, but I feel like my friends, my family, my partner, they just loved me so much. They gave me so much love, and it made it so easy to survive the lockdown. Than it would have been without their support. So the first lesson that 2020 has taught me is never to take your loved one for granted. I know I'm not alone in this. I know most of you watching this may also have taken your family members or your boyfriend or girlfriend, your friends for granted, knowingly or unknowingly. I'm not saying we always do it knowingly. This pandemic has definitely taught me how important it is to have good people around you. Materialistic things will not matter if something like this happens, and it is only the people that truly love you will help you to get through this. The second thing that the pandemic has taught me, or 2020 has taught me, is having a plan B. What do I mean by that? Before 2020, I was only focusing on my job. Rather, I should say, I took my job for granted, to be honest. Like most of us, I do 9 to 5 job, and I used to complain about my job a lot, like it's mundane and it's whatever. And I never took it too seriously, to be honest. But this pandemic has taught me to be grateful for my job. It keeps me afloat. Like, it has helped me and my family during the financial crisis that most of us were going through, and it just made me a stronger person. I think it boosted my confidence so much because I was able to help myself, help my family, even help my friends if they were in need. And that was so important to me. I never realized that it could be so important for my self-confidence, but it was. And moving forward, I feel like I'm never ever going to take my job for granted. In fact, I'm lucky that I have a 9 to 5 job. Now, talking about 9 to 5 job, 2020 has taught us that things can change anytime. Life is not certain, and therefore it is so important to have a plan B. 2020 was the year that I started investing my money. Now, I always wanted to explore the idea of investing, but I never took it that seriously. But when this pandemic hit, when my friends were losing job, when people around me were losing job, I actually started thinking a lot about investing my money in the right way. So if something is to happen to my job, I have a different source of income. I have my investments through which I will be able to survive. Just keeping money in the bank was not the wisest thing, I felt like, and therefore I started exploring my investment option. And 2020 was the year where I made my first investment. So I feel like I did learn how to utilize my money in a better way in 2020, which I did not think in any other years. And moving forward, I will never look at the money in the same way as I used to do in the past. Now, whenever I look at my savings, it's from an investment perspective rather than just making my bank account looks prettier. And this is something that I'm going to take with me in the future, and hopefully try to invest a chunk of my savings every year, so that if something like this is to happen in the future, I have a better plan B to survive. And the last thing that I wanted to discuss with you guys was about acknowledging how good I or you have done this year. Sometimes, especially I feel like in Asian culture, we always expect appreciation from others from the very beginning. When we do good in school, we expect that appreciation from our teachers. When we continuously score good grades, we expect that appreciation from our parents or our friends. Even in workplace, when we do something good, when we have completed a huge project and the outcomes are amazing, we expect that appreciation, that pat on the back from our bosses or colleagues. So this is something that 2020 has made me aware that not everyone will realize how much you have done, or or that you have done the best that you could that year. Not everyone is so thoughtful as well, and not everyone will give you that pat on the back when you want it. And therefore, I feel like it is so important for each one of us to have that self realization that yes, it was a difficult year for me and for most of us, but I have achieved this, and this in this year, and I should be proud of myself. Being proud of yourself is something that we don't do often, and I don't understand why, but sometimes it's really necessary to be proud of yourself, to be proud of your achievements, because it's not easy and not everyone will acknowledge it. Sometimes you have to give yourself that pat on your shoulder that you have done a good job. Sometimes you have to reward yourself. I don't know if you have seen my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, what are you doing? I'll link my Instagram handle somewhere here. But I recently gifted myself a pair of Gucci shoes that I wanted for 3 years. And the reason I did that is not because I survived to 2020. As I said, 2020 wasn't a very bad year for me. But the reason I gave that to myself was because one of the biggest goals of my life, I would say, I was able to achieve that in 2020. I will tell you guys more about it in the future. But when I achieved that goal, I was so proud of myself, and I didn't expect anyone else to be so proud of myself, to be honest, because sometimes it may be not that big of a deal for others than it is for you. So you have to accept it and you have to reward yourself. I'm not saying that you have to reward yourself for every small goals that you set for yourself, but obviously I'm talking about bigger scale, bigger goals, that will potentially impact your life. So rewarding myself when I achieve one goal is a way of me motivating myself. It's a way of accomplishment. It just gives me that rush to do something better, to set a new goal, to achieve that goal, because I know when I have achieved that goal, I'll get something for myself, and that is also an incentive, I guess, to just achieve my goal maybe faster than I have anticipated. And I wanted to wrap this video on this note that be proud of yourself, be proud of your achievement. I know you have done your best to survive this year. You might not even know, but you may have impacted so many other lives, just being there for them. So it's nothing wrong to be proud of yourself. 2020 was a challenging year, but we all have come out of it with flying colors, and I just hope that 2021 is even more successful year for each one of us, and I can't wait to see how 2021 will unfold for us. With that note, I would like to sign off. I hope this was somewhat interesting and it wasn't too boring for you guys. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.